How's it going, guys? Welcome to another video from the Gio Nation. How do you like my green screen? Very realistic. For those of you that don't know, I'm in America. And for those of you that really don't know, my name's Matt. I'm trying to travel around the world, and the pandemic sort of spoiled that. So I moved to China through the whole pandemic, and I've been brought up under the Chinese system, basically to contain the virus, make sure it doesn't spread, and allow life of people that stay in China to be pretty normal. I mean, life within China, as long as you're not exiting and entering, is just normal. And I've been in America now for about a month, and life here has its own idea of normal. And so I wanted to make this video so I could talk about the differences between the West and the East, and also give you my actual honest feelings about it, because I have been very, very conflicted with the way I've been acting here in America. And I like to always self-analyze and think about, how am I feeling in this situation? Is this the correct way to feel? And is this the way other people are feeling? If the way I'm feeling is the way other people are feeling, then it gives me a really interesting understanding of of why America has had such a interesting, difficult time of this pandemic. And I gotta tell you what, I have come to at least here in Michigan and traveling around, I drove all the way to Vegas and then Texas in my van, and I brought it back here to Detroit, and now I'm here. Behind me, this play structure here is pretty cool, and then that's the van. But this play structure I built with my dad, who's since passed away, and yeah, that's pretty interesting, this play structure. My dad, for Christmas, when I was like about 9 years old, gave a project to me and my two older sisters and said, conceptualize a play structure. And it's got to be a certain size, but it can be pretty big. And then whoever has the neatest plan and the most realistic plan will build it. And so I think my sister Tammy, who has since passed away, I think she won. Or it was Becky. I think it was Tammy, though. Anyways, so my dad bought the lumber, and we all worked together to build it. I was a bit young, so my idea wasn't very realistic. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of thing that I don't know if you can have that sort of thing in China. I don't know if you can have that sort of backyard in China. If you do, it's going to be quite expensive. The life I live here in America, in this house, my dad's old house, is different. It's fundamentally different than the life that I live in China. Both lives are very comfortable. Comfortable in different ways. One place has vast open spaces and lots of foliage. The other, smaller spaces, but also sophisticated, and a community of people in an apartment complex or schools nearby. The sense of community is different between China and America. And so also the sense of this pandemic has been different from China to America. And when I first came to America about a month ago, after being in China for the majority of the pandemic, it was shocking. I was shocked by the lack of mask wearing. But again, there are masks being worn around. They're just not being worn. They're not being worn in the way that they would be worn in China if the virus was as prevalent as it is here. I mean, just to give you an example, if you're in China and somewhere a mile away was detected a virus outbreak, one case, two case, the entire community would mask up, would social distance. So Americans' ideas of social distancing they pale in comparison to the ideas of social distancing in China. It's just night and day. And so now, here in America, the virus is just here. There's no sense of eradicating the virus. It's just part of life. And it was really hard for the first couple of weeks for me to understand that. Because we've already bypassed the infection phase, that sort of like pandemonium phase, where countries established systems to contain it. They implemented those systems. They taught their populace on how to feel about the virus and how to feel about the protocols in place to defend them. And then eventually people understood. And so they said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And that sort of bell curve from, oh my God, this is crazy. Okay, this is what we're going to do. And now everybody's good with it. Well, in America, there was sort of pandemonium, but it was all disjointed. So you had different states with different laws. And what now what we're at is we're at a weird plateau where people have come to the realization that there's no way they're going to eradicate this virus. They can attempt to vaccinate everybody so that when you do get the virus, you will, not have the severe effects, but there's no eradication of it. Now, that's not to say that there's not good and bad things with both systems, right? Because China has had the stance of eradication, and they've done very, very good with that. They are vaccinating everybody, and they beat the hell out of Delta. They got it completely wiped out. And that's great for the people inside China. But the world isn't an island, but countries are not islands, I'm going to say. And there is an eventuality where China is going to have to say, we've built these walls enough, we need to bring these walls down so that we can integrate with the world. You cannot continue with the Chinese definition of containment forever. It's not a completely long-term solution. I'd be very curious, because China is not the type of country that doesn't think long-term. They do think long-term. They have a 100-year plan. They have 10-year plans. They don't think in American terms, which is like, it's a Republicans for 4 years and then Democrats for 4 years. It's a long-term thinker. And so I'm very curious to see what China's plan is to start welcoming the world a bit more than it has. On the other side, America has kind of gone at this thing from a herd infected mentality and saying that if you're going to be infected, let's make sure that you're vaccinated and it doesn't hurt you. The problem with that system is that the more people who are infected, the more virus replicates, the more opportunity is to mutate, and one time out of 100 million, that mutation might have a dastardly effect and make it worse. For example, the variant with Delta was worse in some levels, and Delta isn't as bad as it can get. It can get a lot worse than that. And the more opportunity the virus has to replicate, the more you're rolling that dice, like Vegas, to see if maybe this virus is going to replicate into something unwanted. Or worse. I mean, it's all unwanted. So you've got this American system and you've got this China system, and they are kind of at odds with each other. They're very, very different. And so I have been living under the China system for a long time. Long enough for me to hit that plateau and say, this is the normal. This is life. If somebody gets a infection, you get it on your phone, you wear your mask, and you stay indoors. You start ordering food deliveries, depending on the severity. And that's only if there's a few cases. If there was, 100 cases, then the whole province, millions upon millions of people, tested, contained, quarantined, actively. And I was okay with that. I still am okay with that. I think the system in China works really well in China, but I don't think you could do that system here. And part of my perception of things, and part of as living as a traveler and living as a person who's kind of got his fingers in a whole bunch of different lifestyles and different pots. One is China, one is, you know, one is America, is I'm trying to understand how to live under this system. And also try not to ridicule. You know, part of me was like, these people are crazy. But I'll tell you the truth, and this might not make people feel too nice about me, and I don't know if I feel too nice about me either. But I feel really, really uncomfortable when I wear my mask here. When I'm in China, you wear your mask. It's not like we're all giving each other high fives and stuff, but if we take our mask off during a period of virus in the population, if I take my mask off, I get the same feeling as if I wear my mask here. It's like the flip side. I have actually, you know, I'm vaccinated, Moderna, both shots. I'm vaccinated, so just to let you know that off the bat. But I feel very uncomfortable wearing my mask around here. I feel, and maybe it's self-imposed, but it is a vibe. There is an energy and a propaganda feeling. Like, because propaganda is everywhere. The propaganda in China is reversed. You wear your masks. If you don't, you're not helping each other. You're not helping the situation resolve itself. In America, why are you wearing your mask? This thing isn't a big deal. It's being blown out of proportion or whatever. And it's all because the information that was put inside your head in the beginning of this pandemic. And when I say beginning, I'm talking about the first 6 months, first year. All of that data, all of that habit, all of that, like training a dog, or, you know, like that whole idea of you put a rope around an elephant's foot as a baby, and the elephant won't be able to break that, but the elephant will grow and inherit the feeling that they're not going to be able to break that rope, and when they're an adult, they could just break that rope and no problem at all, and yet you can still hold that elephant to the tree with that same little rope, you know. And I think people are creatures of habit. Humans are creatures of habit, and so in the beginning there was so much, you know, misinformation and confusion and conspiracies, and one person is saying this, another person is saying that, like disunity, fracturing within the all echelons of everything, from the medical field, you know, to the governmental field. And when I say medical field, it's overwhelming that I think that the medical field is on the ball with how you should behave during a pandemic and how we should band together. But in this current climate in America, the smallest voices can have megaphones. And so if you have 100 doctors and they're all like, let's social distance, let's be careful, let's wear a mask and everything, but you have one with a megaphone that's saying, don't wear your mask or whatever, that can pollute the entire conversation, and they'll give as much credit to that one guy as they'll give to the 99 other doctors that are saying the other thing. And so in China, you never had that because they have a very good control of the information flow. They don't let anybody that's talking against the narrative to broach the conversation. And so people don't have the opportunity to be confused. They simply follow the stated rules. And the stated rules, and you know, I'm sure that people will say, well, that's why we have American freedom, you know. But I think it goes further than that, because if you were in a room of people, and of 10 people, and 9 of them said, don't eat that food, and it had cyanide in it, and one guy said, it's fine to eat that food, you need to eat that food, that food's no problem. As a matter of fact, everybody's talking bullshit about you, and you're weighing everybody's voice unequally, and you ate that food and you died, You know, do you think that guy saying you should eat that food should have had that opportunity to voice his opinion? I don't know. In America, everybody can. So I've developed this sort of mentality now, and I feel like my brain has changed. I feel like the way I view this virus has changed, and I am under the Chinese system, but I can still see it and feel its influence. I can see it in the way that I behave around people. I still attempt social distancing. I still, attempt to put in those blocks, but I will leave places and say, oh my God, I was too close to that person. Oh my God, I was putting myself out there in a way that was probably unhealthy and not smart in China. But in America, you don't have that social pressure, which I think is important in order to control the situation the way that China has. So I don't know what the solution is, but I do think that this is a very interesting experience I'm having, and it also goes on to help understand, because I was very comfortable in China, and seeing the comfort level of people here living amongst the virus, I can completely understand how they think China's crazy. On the flip side, living amongst the Chinese and in the Chinese system and being comfortable there, I can completely understand why they think Americans are crazy. And non-empathetic towards this whole situation. I can see very, very clearly how both of these narratives create these opinions. And I also am very, very aware of how the information has been manipulated for people to believe the things in each of those places. I'm sure that my actions here in America have the ire and criticism of the me that existed in China. Like, if I had done any number of the things that I have been doing part of my daily life here, and looked at them from the lens of me existing in China, I would say that, Matthew, you're too close to, you're living a little bit too close to the edge. In fact, you're being irresponsible. And I'm a guy that has existed in the system of China. I'm trying to be responsible, but I'm also seeing myself diverge from the path and make understandings and think maybe China's system is too harsh. Maybe there's a balance in between the two. I do think that there has to be a balance in between the two. Just like I discussed before, you can't have a system that is completely blocked off from the world, saying we are going to stay in this basement. We'll live a beautiful life in the basement, but you can't go out. And then the American system that's like, And I know I'm doing this idea that the American system is too lax from a person who's been in China. And a lot of you guys say, yeah, we're getting vaccinated and we're doing all of these things, but I'll tell you what, I'm sorry, and this is just the whole cold hard truth. According to the rest of the Western world, or the Eastern world, these measures that America has been taking to contain the virus aren't good enough. In the eyes of the world that I lived in for the past year and 15 years before, this system in America, it's almost sacrilegious. Even though you feel like, you're being responsible and all this stuff, if you're looking at from the prism of China and Asia and even Korea and New Zealand, all of these places looking towards America, it's not enough. You know what I mean? And the prism of America looking to the east, it's saying it's too much. You could have normal lives if you want, or what people think are normal lives here. But the truth is, a lot of people are still dying. The truth is, a lot of people are still getting sick. And the truth is, we don't know what this virus is going to do to the human body in another decade. You might be finding, people with strange COVID reactions in their later lives. And so we don't know that either. And so it's a very, very interesting perception. I wanted to share it with you because I'm literally going through it right now, and I'm having these self-reflection moments where I'm like, what is going on? Am I settling into the American system? Is the American system good? Am I diverging from the Chinese system? Was the Chinese system good? And like I said, there's a middle ground there, but it is a very, very interesting thing to be a participant. And I don't want to sugarcoat you guys. I'm not going to tell you that I'm wearing my mask everywhere I go. I'm not going to tell you that I am the most conscientious person. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm doing the same things I did in China, because I'm not. And you've probably seen it from my videos that I'm actually integrating with people and communicating and stuff. And I am aware that that is a really weird and bad look. But I'm also a human. And I want to be able to impart that on you and tell you that when you see people going about their lives in America and you want to judge them, like I sort of wanted to judge, you also have to understand that they've been living in this system from the beginning, inception of the virus. And that system has created the attitudes that you see here. And there's people that are fighting against it and being more conscientious, and there's people that are being less conscientious and more conspiratorial. And it's just an interesting situation. I don't think a Chinese person can understand the feelings that people have here, and I don't think the people that here can understand the feelings of the people in China. And so I'm trying to be a weird bridge and give you guys a real understanding of the two halves. And I hope this is done a little bit to understand that, because I think the more that we try to understand each other, the more we can appreciate the fact that, you know, not everybody does the same thing the same way. And I also think that this virus is more serious than it's being regarded here. But I also am looking at China and saying, where is the end game there? You know, where do you integrate with the world fully, or as much as China normally integrates with the world? But there is a restriction of travel to a greater degree than America, for sure. It's one of the reasons that I'm here. A lot of people didn't understand that. I came here so that I could travel around a little bit more freely. It's not because I'm running from the China system. I think the China system works great for the people that stay within China. But if you did want to travel globally, it's not going to be a good system for you, you know, unless, you know, you leave. And once you leave, it's very difficult to get back in because of the controls that they have. It's a system that they have. And so I'm in this system now, and I'm trying to tell you about my impressions of it from a person that is still, I still have my fingers in both sides. I still have both perceptions. And it's a very, very odd situation for me. And so I hope this has helped you guys to understand, because I don't think a lot of people understand both sides. I certainly don't understand 100% both sides, but I do have an understanding of it. So anyways, if you have any questions or thoughts or anything, put them in the comment section below. I'm very curious. Do you understand what I'm saying? Am I being crazy? If I'm crazy, then there's hundreds of millions of people here in this country that are crazy as well, because I'm slowly trying to meld into the two systems. I'm not fully on board with everything that's going on here, but I'm slowly moving towards that direction and trying to find some middle ground. So like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for listening. Comment below, let me know what you think, and we'll catch you in the next one. Very, very strange time we're living in here, guys. Bye.